Two storms out in the Western Pacific at the moment. First of all, Typhoon Usagi making landfall in China right now, and Tropical Storm Pabuk, which is moving towards the north, towards Japan. So let's take a look at Usagi first of all. Philippine name was Odette, but it's out of that region now. Currently with winds of 90 miles per hour, beginning to weaken because it's just made landfall in China. Pressures 963 millibars. Positions 22.9 degrees north, 115.2 degrees east. Expected to weaken overland over the next 24 to 48 hours, eventually dissipating. But we do have a red typhoon warning in effect for the coast of China, and we also have signal 8 warnings in effect for Hong Kong and signal 3 warnings in effect for Macau right now. We could be seeing some heavy rains and strong winds from that storm, especially along the coast. We also have Tropical Storm Pabuk right now, currently with winds of 60 miles per hour, maintaining. Pressures 985 millibars, current positions 22.7 degrees north, 142.1 degrees east. Putting the storm just south of the Bonin Islands right now, moving towards the northwest, expected to become a typhoon in the next 48 hours and move towards the northeast, eventually curving towards the northeast. But models are in disagreement as to what may happen after that. It could stall out to sea and could affect Japan in particular, with strong winds and heavy rain over the next few days. Gale advisory is already in effect for the Ogasawara Islands and the Itsu Islands right now, as well as parts of coastal Tokai and Kanto in Japan. At the moment, along the coast there, strong winds could be expected over the next few days, I suppose. Sea surface temperatures right now then fairly warm across the board, really, where both of those storms are. It's fairly irrelevant now for Usagi now that it's over land, but for Pabuk the sea surface temperatures are around 28 to 29 degrees Celsius, which is certainly enough to sustain itself. So this is what the models are saying right now. The CMC model, first of all, taking Pabuk round towards the northeast and then curving back towards the south, pretty much doing a loop, I suppose, which is certainly fairly interesting to see, I guess, but with another storm forming up to the east as well, which could be a tropical or extratropical, I don't know just yet, but certainly an interesting situation there. The GFS model has something entirely different, really, curving towards the northeast and then eventually turning back on itself towards the southwest, towards Japan, and eventually dissipating, not too far from the Japanese coastline, or turning extratropical as the case may be. Could be some heavy rains if that one played out. So this is what Typhoon Usagi looks like right now, making landfall as a strong Category 1 storm, perhaps even Category 2 intensity really, but Category 1 intensity it is right now, moving inland over China, and that will be delivering typhoon conditions to the Chinese coastline, possibly typhoon gusts to Hong Kong right now as well, but certainly heavy rains everywhere along there. You can see the eye making landfall and then disappearing underneath the core of the storm as it begins to weaken now overland and will eventually dissipate in about 2 or 3 days time. But until then, we will be seeing some heavy rains occurring, which could cause some flooding and indeed some strong winds, at least initially, which we will see especially along the coast where that storm made landfall. Could be some damages resulting there as a result. But that's the current situation there with Usagi. Elsewhere in the world, not much else going on, as a matter of fact. Just the Western Pacific that's active at the moment. Nothing going on in the Eastern Pacific, nothing in the Atlantic, nothing in the Southern Hemisphere or the Indian Ocean right now. Just the two storms in the Western Pacific. Typhoon Usagi, which will not be a typhoon for much longer, and of course Tropical Storm Pabuk, which could be our next one. And this is both of the storms highlighted here. You can see Usagi and Pabuk next to each other, fairly similar in latitude as a matter of fact, but in longitude quite a bit of difference, certainly no interaction occurring between the two anyway. Pabuk moving towards the northwest, of course, towards Japan, which is towards the very north of that picture there, but you can see it's fairly ragged at the moment, Pabuk, but I think that could improve as time goes on. And 16 tropical storms then so far this year, which puts 2013 in 67th place. 5 typhoons so far. Pabuk could be the 6th, and 3 of which have reached Category 3 status so far. Usagi being the latest one, of course, being the strongest storm of the season so far, having reached Category 5 intensity, the first one to do so worldwide this year. And you can follow us on the website, of course. This is what's going on right now. Pabuk, the first update on that one has been on the website for a little while now, and we'll be updating that throughout the evening and maybe tomorrow, well, of course tomorrow as well, between now and the next video. You can also find the storm tracking page, the main page, which shows every other storm out there at the moment. Obviously there aren't any right now, but you can track any storm that forms on there, force13.com/stormtracking.html. You can also find us elsewhere on the web, Facebook and Twitter. Just search Force 13 on either of those and you can find us fairly easily enough. And please do, as always, show your support by doing the usual means of engagement, by liking, subscribing, commenting, favouriting, or indeed anything else that you may think of that I could not right now. And of course, if you have any comments or questions, then do fire away under the YouTube video in the comments section, or by private message if you so wish, and I'll do my best to answer it if necessary. But until the next update, which will probably arrive at around the same time tomorrow, that would be Monday, September the 23rd, around 3 PM UTC, that's all for now. Stay safe out there.